The Charlotte Hornets have a huge problem. In a tight fourth quarter against the Brooklyn Nets, Coach Charles Lee decides that his star player, the face of his franchise, should be benched with 3 minutes and 48 seconds left. LaMelo Ball sat on the sidelines as his coach passed up on multiple opportunities to get him back in the game, including 2 playoffs and this final set play, which was a perfect opportunity for his heroics. The Hornets were down 3 and they needed a clutch player to step up and hit it. But no, the Hornets lose this game by 1 and are knocked out of the NBA Cup. What the is going on in Charlotte? Why would you bet your franchise on a player like LaMelo Ball, who's streaky and polarizing but absurdly confident when the pressure is on, and then when the moment comes for him to step up and be a star, you suddenly chop off his wings and send him to the bench?
You sub the man out for 2 turnovers and a layup?
Ball. Watford drives in.
A decision like this raises a ton of questions about LaMelo and the Hornets organization. How good is LaMelo Ball actually? Does he help or hurt his team? And if he's treated like this, how long will it take until he finally has had enough? The Charlotte Hornets have a LaMelo Ball problem, and they might have just made things 1,000 times worse. LaMelo Ball is really good at basketball. In high school, he was draining half-court shots, crossing up defenders, and throwing dimes off the backboard. He once even scored 92 points in a single game. Now that he's reached the league, he's rewriting what it means to be an NBA star at 23 years old. Take a look at these 3 players and try guessing which one revolutionized basketball as we know it. Player A, who at 24 years old averaged 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. Player B, who at 23 years old averaged 26 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Or player C, who at the same age averaged 28 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists. Well, it's sort of a trick question. Player A is a young Steph Curry, who back in 2013 was about to teach the NBA the value of 3-point shooting.
For 3. Got it!
Stat just too accomplished. Stat just too accomplished.
Player B is 23-year-old Allen Iverson, whose crossover broke the NBA, whose style changed the way an entire generation looked.
Shake straight, gets 2! And Iverson, what a move! He was dead in the water.
And player C is LaMelo Ball this year, who, without any MVPs, scoring titles, or championships, has an entire generation following his every move and making old heads go crazy with clips like this.
If I say the name Melo, who am I talking about? Which NBA player?
LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball.
I say the name Melo, who do you think of?
LaMelo Ball.
When I say the name Melo, who do you think of?
LaMelo Ball.
I get it. We are in a new era of basketball, but this just goes to show you how special LaMelo is at his age, both statistically and culturally. But for some reason, Charlotte head coach Charles Lee must have forgot about all of this. Take a look at this graph. This is a breakdown of the best fourth quarter scorers in the NBA right now. On the x-axis, we have the points per game average, and on the y, we have plus or minus. For instance, a player like Jared McCain is averaging nearly 7 points per game in the fourth quarter, which is amazing for a rookie. But his negative 17 plus minus shows that he's in there for junk minutes, or that his efforts on the court don't really lead to winning. So when we look at this graph, we're looking for a player who's extremely high on the x-axis and far to the right on the x-axis. In the center of this graph, we have players like DeMar DeRozan and Jimmy Butler, each of them averaging 8 points per game in the final frame. They're consistent, reliable scorers who can deliver in the crunch time when it matters most. Moving up, we have some of the biggest stars. Kevin Durant sitting at 8.1 fourth quarter points per game, arguably one of the best closers in NBA history. Then there's Nikola Jokic, also averaging 8 points per game in the fourth quarter, but his plus 20 plus minus shows why he's one of the most impactful players in the league. Oh, and I forgot one guy. Here's LaMelo Ball. At 10.3 points in the fourth quarter, LaMelo is the #1 player in the entire league. Plus, he's got a positive 35 plus or minus. He's outscoring Kevin Durant, Jimmy Butler, and even Nikola Jokic in crunch time. And he's doing it all at just 23 years old. That's dominance at a level we rarely see.
Get into the second quarter. He's got a triple-double if you want to talk about field goal. Vintage LaMelo Ball. He's got it. Hornets can take the lead. Who wants to?
So why would the Charlotte Hornets dare to bench him when the game is on the line? Well, for all of his brilliance, there's a downside. For every highlight pass, or deep three, or crazy layup, there's a game that LaMelo just doesn't show up, like at all. In the game versus the Nets I was talking about earlier, LaMelo went for a horrendous 3 for 13 from the field, scoring just 13 points, including turning the ball over 4 times and having a negative 10 plus minus. Meanwhile, his replacement, Trey Mann, went 7 for 17, scoring 16 points in the second half himself, leaving the game with a positive 10 plus or minus. If the Hornets would have eked out a win, we'd probably be praising Charles Lee for his genius coaching, but they didn't. So here's the big question. Does LaMelo Ball actually make his team better or worse? Well, his turnover rate, 14.3%, is one of the worst among starting guards. His defensive rating, 114, makes him a target on that end of the floor. And for reference, here's how he stacks up against some of the stars from his same draft class, Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton. According to Cleaning the Glass, from 2020 until last season, LaMelo helped his team win just 11 games with his efficiency differential. Obviously, there were injuries, but LaMelo's horrible defense and inconsistency didn't impact the Hornets positively. Meanwhile, Tyrese Halliburton contributed to 25 expected wins, and Ant-Man has been the most impactful with winning with 34 expected wins. For a little while there, it looked like the number 3 pick was looking kinda awful. But the tables have turned. Check out this season. Now, I know we're only a few weeks into this season, but LaMelo Ball is crushing it. Meanwhile, Anthony Edwards is doing well and on track, and Tyrese Halliburton, well, let's just call it a slump. Prayers out to the Pacer fans right now. So if we only look at this year, then we really need to question the Charlotte Hornets' decision-making. How much of this is actually LaMelo Ball's fault, and how much of it is on the Charlotte Hornets? What moves have they made to support their star? Well, they drafted Brandon Miller, who's shown flashes but hasn't been consistent. They brought back Miles Bridges, who's been solid but comes with some off-court baggage. And they traded for Grant Williams, hoping he'd be a defensive anchor. But is that enough?
3 bodies go down, slam down on the saves it. Bridges a 3, bottom.
The Hornets have never been a championship contending franchise, and expecting them to figure it out feels optimistic to say the least. So where does this leave LaMelo Ball? He's a 23-year-old phenom playing street ball in the NBA, dazzling fans and selling out arenas. What comes next? Does he stay in Charlotte hoping the organization can build a roster around him? Or does he follow the path of other stars, seeking greener pastures where he can chase championships?
Today about returning to the Bay to play, and he told me it's always good to see old friends and reminisce about the good times, but I'm looking...
I think an important question is what the Hornets do to maximize LaMelo's talent. He isn't just another young star. He's one of the most exciting players in the league, with the talent to redefine what it means to be a franchise player. But right now, the Hornets are fumbling the bag. You cannot bench your star player in the 4th quarter, regardless of how bad they're playing. This is his team. He's not a rookie. He's in his 5th year in the NBA. Hopefully, this one instance will be a wake-up call that LaMelo needs. Maybe this will make him realize he needs more basketball IQ and offensive structure. The context in which he was benched is important. The coach took him out after he drove down the court, didn't pass to his teammate in transition, and then fouled another player out of frustration. So maybe this will help him realize he can't just play on pure flow and his insane confidence on the court. But if the Hornets don't figure this out, LaMelo could be the next superstar to lead this small market behind. But what do you think? Was benching LaMelo the wake-up call he needed, or will it cause him to lose trust in his new head coach? And what about the Hornets? I know they're not true contenders, but do you think they can put up a solid squad around LaMelo and push for the playoffs? Every game matters when you're in the play-in, so I hope he gets to play more 4th quarters. Can they become the Charlotte Hornets like they were with Kemba Walker, or will they continually be on the outside looking in? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by subscribing. Make sure you tick on the notifications because the next Henry Hoops video is about how a shitty soccer player humiliated the entire NBA. It's gonna be insane. Peace.